in order to help you fine-tune the specifics of putting this up. And most of you got in the hang of it, the functionality of both these buttons here, in terms of pinning it to the top and in terms of assigning the highlight. Shall we move forward, or would you guys like a couple of minutes more? Sorry? We should move forward then. Okay. So I wanted to answer your question in terms of why did Facebook predominantly migrate from the old format of the pages onto timelines. The biggest advantage that timelines offers today as opposed to the old pages is the definition of milestones. Now, individually speaking, on my Facebook page, a milestone possibly was the date I joined Facebook, the date I graduated college, the date I got engaged, the date the date I got engaged, the date I got married, so on and so forth. But today, on branded pages, what milestones allow us to do is dig back into history and actually define milestones that are relevant to our company. So my company was founded in 1964. Although Facebook didn't exist in 1964, it was a landmark milestone for my company. So as a result, with the ability of the timeline and the milestones that are defined within Facebook, I have the ability to go back in time and create a milestone that was relevant for my company, irrespective of whether I was present on Facebook during that time or not. So I'll show you how that's done. Your milestone, your timeline is essentially divided through the center of your page and it has year indicators over here. So there will be a year indicator on every scroll that you go down on. So for instance, if you just created a Facebook page at the bottom it says join Facebook in 2012, hypothetically speaking. And through the course of your timeline, you have pluses. So if you click on the line that runs down the middle of your timeline and you select a milestone, you can then fill out the information that becomes relevant to that particular point in time, thereby custom defining a milestone for your brand that becomes relevant, that Facebook has not automatically populated as a result of a virtue of your being present on Facebook during the life of that milestone. So I'll show you a couple of examples of how brands have maximized the potential for this. Are we clear what a milestone is and how we define one? Any questions? Okay, great.
A status can also get as a milestone.
A status will get automatically documented as a milestone, but just in terms of the chronology of the milestones. Yeah. So as I was saying, the advantage of this is that Facebook is allowing me to build a concise storyline for my brand in terms of when I started the company, when my first plant was set up, when I first made $1 billion, so on and so forth. And that helps me increase the average time spent on my Facebook page to my consumer. So if I manage to engage my consumer just with my story alone, my milestone has the ability to take my consumer maybe 30, 40, even 100 years back in time just by virtue of me taking the effort to populate the timeline of my brand on its own. Okay, so I think the examples are a little later. We come to those. Okay. So I'm going to take you through the best practices of fan management on Facebook via the means of your page. Before we jump into fan management, any questions on cover photo, profile picture, milestones, or the basics that we've already covered? Creation of a Facebook page, selection of brand or product, selection of category. Any questions so far? We'll address the highlighted posts and pin to talk on a personal basis when we interact with you. But prima facie, any questions till here? Okay, we'll move on. So we'll address the fan management now. Through milestones, we'll address activity log, we'll address messages from fans, good practices in terms of dealing with our fans, and how recent posts from others are tackled here. Okay. Currently, in the new format of timeline pages, fans have the ability to personally message a brand without the message being publicly viewable. So for instance, if I have any personal feedback that I'd like to offer a brand without compromising the credibility of the brand in front of his thousands of other fans that exist on the page, I have the ability to personally message the administrator of that page. If, for instance, I want to divulge any personal information like my email ID or my telephone number, and I don't want that information to be accessible to the other thousands of users on that page, and I want to be brought in touch with from the brand, I can personally message that page, and only the administrators of that page will be allowed to view those messages that will appear on the top of the admin panel. So as I said, fans have the ability to report issues, get in touch with customer service representatives with regards to specific issues that they have, divulge information, so on and so forth. In a lot of cases, brands actually turn this feature off. So in a slightly less reputed telecom company that in India today, one of the brands has turned this feature off because its page continuously gets bombarded with negative criticism on Facebook. So fans are continuously personal messaging them, saying, this is my number, get in touch with me, my 3G is not working. This is my number, get in touch with me, I don't have coverage in Angling Garden where I stay. Get in touch with me, I've been activating this SMS pack and suddenly 15 rupees is debited from my account. So fans end up bombarding such pages on a daily basis, and often the administrators of the page do not have the bandwidth to deal with this influx of content. So in such cases, brands do tend to turn this personal messaging feature off, but it's not very highly advisable that brands do turn it off, because consumers feel that they have a personal connect, or they can connect with the brand on a one-to-one basis, and they do need to divulge a certain amount of information. On the right section of your page, just below your cover photo and your applications, you'll see something called recent posts by others. So essentially what this does is this highlights for you what other people are talking to the brand about that is visible in public domain. So user has the ability to either post on the brand's timeline, which then gets indexed in this box at the top right, or to private message the brand. If a user private messages the brand, only the people administrating the page have access to viewing that content. But if it's a post that's gone onto the timeline, onto the wall of the page, then other people also have the ability to cross-reference that. And as you see on the top, the timeline moves down to 1850. Very often large pages that cross 1 million, 2 million or 5 million users get bombarded by so many posts that they feel that this inhibits the interaction, the consumption of content by other users on that page. So as a brand, you do have the ability to deactivate this option from your page, but it's not advisable that you deactivate this, because very often there are people, that consumers themselves that are creating viral content, that consumers themselves that are posting relevant queries that may be repetitive in nature, relevant feedback that may be repetitive in nature, relevant content that may be likable in nature, that has the potential to increase your brand awareness and the virality and the shareability of the same. So very often, as I said, brands do get intimidated by this, but it's not advisable to hide this feature. In the event that you do want to look at this, you can obviously go into your admin settings, as you see. So if you deactivate the post visibility, automatically you're deactivating the public visibility of what other people have posted on your timeline in the world as well. Coming on to our next feature, activity log. Very simply speaking, an activity log essentially logs content that people are consuming and posting onto your timeline, onto your wall, and waits for your approval before it actually publishes this content onto the public timeline of your page. Now, essentially what the activity log does is it just accumulates chronologically the content that people have posted onto the page, and it dumps it at you, whether it's photos, whether it's textual posts, whether it's tags, anything that involves your timeline is then indexed chronologically, dumped onto you for your approval. So this is what the activity log essentially looks like to the administrator of the page. And through this, the administrator of the page now has the ability to allow that content on the page, hide the content on the page, delete the photo, change the date, backdate it, highlight it on the page so that it comes up. You have the ability to play with absolutely any content that's posted on the page via the means of the activity log. Okay, so let's jump into the practices for engaging with our fans on our Facebook pages. What we need to do is to get our users to talk. It's all about engagement. Engagement is the buzzword. It's the key at the moment. Get our users to talk. We want our users to share their feedback with us. Users may have consumed our service. It's important for us to find out whether the experience was good, mediocre, or poor. Importantly, also that leads to lots of tangible offline touch points that we can take it off to as well. But it becomes important to get our users talking, to get them interacting with our brand so that we know that they're coming back to our page, they're staying on our page, and that they feel a sense of personalization because they know they have the ability to connect with us. Similarly, the minute the user talks, the minute the consumer talks positively about a brand, it also thereby automatically self-populates and popularizes our brand in terms of building the brand image in the eyes of other consumers of that content on that very page. So, as I said, once Samit takes you through the next section, and once each of you are in a position to thereby outline your own individualistic goals as to what you want to achieve out of your Facebook page in month 1, in month 2, in month 3, subsequently moving forward, you will be in a position to define what kind of engagement you want from your users and how you can channel that communication and how you can funnel that communication to thereby build brand image, build brand visibility, interact with consumers on a more personal basis, manage customer relationship support for your consumers, or whatever necessary action is relevant to your specific goal for that month or quarter. So we just listed out a couple of examples here. So if, very simplistically speaking, if your goal for the month is to increase fan interaction, then you create word posts that are interesting to the community and ask engaging questions. I'll take you through one example of each of these. If the goal is to generate leads, then you create incentives in which you incentivize users to populate your database with their contact information, take part in a contest of sorts, and give them an incentive. Give them a free spa voucher, give them a gift, give them a merchandise related to your brand. We'll just run you through a couple of examples now. Okay, I'll read this out for those of you who can't read this from the back because of the font size. Route 21 says Startups Fashion Accessories or Cold Weather Accessories ? And it generates 136 comments for people that are just interacting with the brand on the basis of their personal choice. Coming down to something slightly more specific. I think that's later down in the presentation. Okay. How does a brand respond to its audiences on Facebook? So the example that we pick up here is that of a phone. Whether it's 6 o'clock in the evening or whether it's 9 o'clock in the morning, you make a phone call, the phone call doesn't get answered, you're pissed off. Whether you're calling a lawyer, whether you're calling a chartered accountant, you're pissed off. No one's answering your call, no one wants to get back to your query. Similarly on Facebook as well, if you're writing to a brand, it becomes the brand's responsibility to get back to you. It shows that the brand actually cares about its user, that the brand is engaged with its user, and thereby emphasizing that social media is a personally engaging tool. So, re-emphasizing the fact that on Facebook, our responses become perennially important to maintaining brand engagement with our consumers on a daily basis. Yeah. So whether the interactions in terms of a question asked, can you recommend a shop to purchase items of XYZ in nature? And the brand replies saying the parts may not be available for your vintage speakers, but you may find them blah 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 blah, or contact our customer support at X100 so and so forth in order to get in touch with them. And instantaneously, as you've seen, the user has replied saying great, thank you. Shows the involvement and the interaction of the brand. Shows the user that we care about your needs, even though the product is in stock, we still want to get back in touch with you, so that when it is in stock, you're bound to come back, as opposed to me possibly having lost the potential deal. Okay. So most of you have created your own pages, or most of you run your own pages currently, or are administrators on your own page currently. In the new timeline format, a basis of the admin panel appears on the top of all your pages if you are the administrator or the creator of the page. This is what the admin panel basically looks like. So just from a prima facie naked view, you have notifications on the top, new likes, and you have insights. We'll jump into insights in a slightly later stage, time permitting. So So as we spoke about the private messaging section of fan interaction, the private messaging section is another thing that's viewable to an administrator of the page only in the admin panel. The dashboard, what the dashboard essentially does is it gives the administrator of the page a very quick insight as to what's been happening on your page in the last 4 hours, or in the last 1 day, or in the last 2 days, without diving into detail for the analytics of the week or the month that you will generate reports for periodically. What the admin panel is also doing is it's also giving the administrator the ability to incentivize its users. As we discussed, email contacts can be sent to users to join the timeline, so on and so forth, or any other data that's relevant in terms of private contact information of users' email IDs, for instance, or personal profiles of users. Okay. Before we jump on to Twitter, any questions here? Yeah, we could. Yeah.
Insights?
I have a separate presentation on insights altogether.
Could you just how to turn that private messaging on and off to the explain it?
Should I share the presentation with you?
Is Facebook as a medium relevant for B2B marketing?
Again, it depends on what kind of brand you are, what kind of brand or what kind of industry you exist in. That question actually you are going to answer for yourself in the fourth section where you get broken up into groups and you need to then define a content strategy for yourself. So we'll be sitting down with you in section 4 in order to determine and to ascertain what medium is relevant for you, whether you're a B2C service, whether you're a B2B service, and what specific industry you fall into. On the basis of which you yourselves as teams will come back to us with a content strategy. So you're going to define that for me actually. Sorry? I've got that in my conclusion PPT. I'll come to that.
Excuse me. Is search engine optimization relevant to pages on Facebook? And if so, which are the areas which are optimal for?
Okay. Because Facebook is a third-party website that's not owned by any individual, we do not have the ability to optimize our Facebook pages organically ourselves. There are various factors that influence the search engine optimization of any page, whether it be a Facebook page, whether it be a website of ours, whether it be a blog of ours. A couple of the very generic factors are the traffic going to that website, the regularity of updating content to that website, in which social networks such as Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn rank very high. They have very high traffic, very high regularity in updating content, which is why a Facebook page will generically rank very high in terms of organic search. So if you go onto Google and you put your own name in, and if your name isn't very common, like my name is Surya Bajaj, it's not a very common name, and in the first 5 links, I'm bound to get 2 out of the 5 links as a Facebook link. So Facebook will automatically, organically index itself for your page's brand name, or your own name, hypothetically speaking. Given that it's not a very common name, I'm reiterating that again and again. Given that it's not a very common name, Facebook will organically index your own page, and Facebook will further not let you manually implement any SEO processes in order to organically rank your page. So while with your website, you have the freedom to do whatever you want in terms of your SEO, whether it's your on-page optimization, whether it's your off-page optimization, whether it's your backlinking, your submissions, your directory submissions, so on and so forth. With the Facebook, you don't have the ability to do that. We do not have access to the code in Facebook. So thereby, we cannot play with the indexing of a page on Facebook.
For small businesses, are there applications or software available to manage this?
There are a variety of app suites that exist today. You can pay an app suite $25 a month and rent the app suite, which has 25 apps that will cater to your specific business need. And the apps will be generic apps that will let you then further customize them in terms of your creative, like forms, for instance, lead generation forms, questionnaires, polls, quizzes, so on and so forth. I can share that with you on the basis of what industry you deal with specifically. So I'll come back to you in that session.
OneMorePageMore.com.
Right.
So it allows you right from a free subscription to $9.25.
Absolutely. There are a variety of such subscriptions both locally and internationally, and we can deal with those on the basis of what particular industry you have and what requirement you have thereby.
Hi, just learned how to make a page and everything.
Sure.
I just want to know more as to how do I drive traffic on a page.
Okay.
Now, this is the page that's been created. So I want to do some surveys, and maybe something to your community.
Sure. I'll address that question on a very prima-facie basis now, and we'll jump into the second section in slightly more detail. You're driving traffic to the page via two routes, so to speak. One is organically, and one is inorganically. Organically or paid traffic. Let's call these are two routes. So by organically, you mean when you set up the page, you're sharing it with your friends, you're sharing it with your family, so on and so forth. That is organic traffic. So the minute I post it to my wall, the minute I'm posting it to my friends, my families, their wall, they're posting it to their friends and families. That's organic growth. Organic growth is limited. You will only get, as someone said, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 fans through organic growth. Even though your content may be fabulous, your content will be very viral, the organic growth that your page will see is very limited. Because although they say 6 degrees of separation separates the entire world, it's not such a fundamental concept on Facebook where you just organically expect your page to hit 1 million fans. Where fans come from is through paid advertising. We have a totally separate module of paid advertising, and time was I would love to jump into that, where we'll actually scientifically map out how your page grows from 100 fans to 100,000 fans. So if we do have time, possibly in the second half, we can jump into that.
One more thing I want to know. You said marketing surveys can be done through Facebook.
Sure.
This is just a post which you have put in, or there is another way, a mechanism way? And can we do it on a regional specific survey?
There are multiple ways of doing it, and someone will be taking you through them during his content strategy. Any other questions before we jump into it? Do we have time?
What, 5 minutes?
So I'll quickly go through Twitter as well.
Actually, yeah, let's finish Twitter. Let's get trended a bit.
So the first step of this exercise for Twitter is, as you guys know, the hashtag for today's event is TIE Institute. So let's all take out our phones and let's all log on to twitter.com on our laptops that are internet enabled at the moment. And let's put down some tip that we learned from this morning already. Put the hashtag TIE Institute, tag TIE Mumbai, and I'll explain to you what this does as we go through the presentation. But before we start, so that I have your undivided attention, let's put out the tweet now, and I'll explain to you what that aims at achieving, and we can continue this exercise through the 1 hour lunch weekend. So let's put out the first tweet with the hashtag TIE Institute. I'll explain to you what the hashtag is, what it does, what the functionality of the hashtag is as well, and don't forget to tag TIE Mumbai in it as well. So go ahead, pull out your phones, log on to your laptops, let's tweet.